Cinesmack contains spoilers of the spoiling type. If you don't want your spoilers spoiled, please turn back now. Otherwise, enjoy the show!
Hello, Cinesmacketeers, and welcome back to the podcast that asks the questions that you don't care about. This is Mike Keeler, and joining me as usual is Mr. Tom Haggis.
I don't know who picked these two movies, but you owe me 183 minutes.
Gabriel Rowald.
Guten Abend, Freundin.
Nice. And Mr. Sam Pace-Twamy.
Oh, hello, Fräulein.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we can't always have gems that we talk about, so let me poke the monkey, and you guys can find out what we're discussing this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fräuleins and manners, welcome to the main event. Tonight, it's a sissy slap fight between the Subterranean and Moon Nazis. One thing is for sure, only one will win, but we will all lose. In the first corner, from 2012, directed by Joseph J. Lawson, starring Dominique Swain, Jake Busey, and Joshua Michael Allen. Nazis at the center of the earth! In the second corner, from 2012, directed by Timo Woransola, starring Julia Dietz, Christopher Kirby, and Gott Otto, Iron Sky!
All right. Well, I was telling you guys before we started, I've wanted to review an Asylum film for a very long time on this show, and we finally got to do it, and holy crap, you got to be careful what you wish for. But let's move right on to the categories. Our first one is writing.
Okay, so at some point, somebody sat down, I'm going to guess with a cocktail napkin, because this isn't usually the kind of idea that starts on a computer, and decided that, actually two people, one person thought it'd be great to have Nazis come from the moon, and the other one thought it'd be great for them to come from the center of the earth. I don't really know which one's least plausible, but the fact that somebody wrote this whole thing down and then someone else wrote a check and said, yes, I want to make this a reality is really staggering and discouraging, I think, for independent filmmakers that somebody would put this much money into either of these two movies. But as far as the story is concerned, I have to hand a little bit to Nazis at the center of the earth for the gall, and I have to give them a little bit of credit, and to sit down and pitch this story to somebody and get to the words robot Hitler.
And then still get the check.
And still get through the rest of the pitch. Actually, the pitch may have ended with, and up comes robot Hitler. And like, hang on a second, let me get my checkbook.
Yes. Well, it makes sense.
How many zeros in a million?
Someone was going to make a robot of Hitler, so why not, just tell the truth?
Right.
Since that's actually what happened. Yeah. So the robot Hitler thing kind of did it for me. And I tried. We've talked about this before with Lockout, where the movie opened, and within the first 2 or 3 minutes, you hear the Wilhelm scream.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh, that's okay. That's the kind of movie we're dealing with. And I didn't have to get that far, because the movie's called Nazis at the Center of the Earth, and I really kind of had a good idea what we were getting ourselves into. And then, and then the Wilhelm scream happened. I went, no, you're not allowed to use that. Sorry. So
you're not that high quality of a movie.
I don't know. Does anybody else have anything to say about the stories? I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, neither of them is really all that well written. I liked Iron Sky a little bit better, but I didn't really feel like it had much flow to it. It was just kind of like, okay, we've got these funny ideas. Let's throw them all together. And there wasn't really a story. There wasn't really any character building or any of that. And Nazis at the Center of the Earth was even worse. It was just kind of like, we have this concept now. Is there any truth to the idea that someone believed that the Nazis were trying to, go underground at some point? I mean, was that an actual belief at some point by somebody? Do you know what I mean? Or is that just completely made up for this movie?
I think that's completely made up for this movie.
It has,
but
because they were decimated so bad at the head of their chain. There's no way they could have. They're both so far fetched. Like when you're writing, I know they're fantasy and whatever, but it's like, okay, they get there on Iron Sky. Yes, it looks beautiful and whatever, but how do they get all that material and be so stupid about other materials that are more modern? Obviously, they hadn't been to Earth for a long time, but they have a lot of other things to build this elaborate swastika base.
Right. Exactly. And how did they get to the moon in the first place?
Right.
And then at the same time
be
so incompetent with technology.
Hold on. You do know the Germans had rockets, right, in World War II?
Right. Werner
Right. Well, that was my thought, is the V rockets or whatever.
Program.
Like,
they didn't have enough to launch all of their leftover military supplies and live on the far side of the moon.
No, but listen, all right, it's I can't believe I'm saying that this could be plausible, but just go with me here for a second. Hitler was known for his outlandish ideas. Like yeah. Well, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the horrible ones. I'm talking about like
the cool ones.
The
three-legged jeans. Like that was
the three-legged jeans were his idea.
Was totally Hitler.
Volkswagens. No, they actually had plans for a space program. They actually had plans for intercontinental ballistic missiles before the Americans or Russians ever did, because all the rocket scientists after the war either went to the Soviet Union or the U.S. So I'm just saying, I've read a lot on history, and I love like the idea of alternate history. And although this is very alternate history and alternate reality, but I'm just saying that from what I have read, the Germans were actually pushing to have like a space station and space vehicles.
Sure.
Because they just had these delusions of grandeur, which spread like wildfires through the Nazis.
Sure.
But for me, watching it was.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Watching it for me, I was like, okay, because I've read a lot of articles based on that. So, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say it's interesting that Iron Sky had about 4 writers, including the original story, whereas Nazis, they stuck with the lone nut theory, and it worked for them. So, I have to maybe give them a little credit of, backing that one guy when no one else saw Robot Hitler. He did. I don't know. I'm not really supporting either of these films, so we'll see how that goes. But
anything else anyone wants to say?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, writing was, oh my God, the dialogue at the beginning of Nazis at the Center of the Earth. I was just in awe. I can't talk about the other things because we're not in those categories, but
sure. Well,
for me, the dialogue.
I couldn't tell if it was just really bad dialogue or just absolutely horrible performance that made the dialogue that much more unpalatable.
I think it was both.
Like if it was Tobey Maguire and somebody else, would that dialogue be okay? Probably not, but I don't think it'd be nearly as abrasive.
Yeah, well, and the whole idea behind Cinesmack originally was we were going to take bad movies and try and shine some light onto them. Well, this was good, these were horrible, but this one part was good. Like, as filmmakers, I could see this, but it all came from the idea watching these horrible sci-fi channel movies, or as they say now, sci-fi, however they spell it. But The Asylum is like the pinnacle of horrible movies. Like, these guys just crank out bad movie after bad movie, and they usually do it if there's going to be a big blockbuster. They're going to try and make a movie that's comparable to that and name it something close, like
Did they do the Transmorphers or whatever?
They did do Transmorphers.
Oh God, I remember you kept talking about that when it came out.
It was, oh man, but like Almighty Thor, Apocalypse Earth, Lord of the Elves, things like that, where they're going to use the publicity that, let's say, Transformers is getting and bring out Transmorphers. And people are like, well, I'm going to check that out. You know, it's on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever, at Redbox. Or
like, as filmmakers, why would you want to put out an inferior product? I know for money, but the chance that you'll get money and have people associate what you make with crap.
Well, exactly. I don't understand it unless it's just for money. Like,
it's a really pathetic existence, if you ask me. I don't like it at all.
I totally agree with that, but it's like those music farms, you know, that brought out like Rebecca Black. You know, it's Friday, where some rich parents are going to give their little rich son or daughter a chance to sing or do whatever and be a little star. It's kind of like that, you know. I don't know. To me, they're very similar. They're just there to make money. They're not there to make good films.
Sure. Well, and I don't even think they're trying. It's not like an Ed Wood situation where he's really trying and he really actually has some good ideas, but, you know, he just doesn't have the tools and money to make it work.
Yeah.
His heart's in the right place. To me, it doesn't seem that their hearts are there. It's just about, oh yeah, we're gonna have fool a lot of people into watching this one, and why would you want to do that?
Yeah, no, I agree. They have 319 movies.
Are they? They're they did Sharknado.
No, did they?
Yeah, they did.
Wow.
Yep, it's listed under production company for them.
Uh-huh.
And you know, and I wonder if that's, you know, what they're looking for. They're looking for that one campy hit.
Yeah.
You know, when that first came out, I couldn't believe how many people were talking about it and how many people watched it. And, you know, I guess they still get to experience the joy of filmmaking, even though it's bad filmmaking. You know, they're still doing it, and that's what they need. They need just one of those to really be successful.
Right.
And, you know, now they're making a sequel, and
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's not okay. I mean, if you want to talk about in terms of business plan, that's not sustainable because eventually people are going to be like, yeah, it's not worth my time anymore.
But it could be there are people out there that enjoy these films because they are bad. Like,
yeah, but those people, you're not going to.
That's a small market.
It's a small market.
Well, it is, but it happens. Like, look at David Duchovny or whatever that does these god awful gay campy horror films that aren't gay. But all of the men always have their shirts off, and they're always walking around the same house. Like, if you look at his career, he has literally hundreds of titles. But if you try to watch them, especially the more recent ones, which I have because I kind of enjoy that scenery aspect, they're horrible. They are worse than the worst 48-hour film that I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of those.
Whoa! Holy cow!
Whoa!
So, and I don't know. There's just, you know, that they in some instances, you know, the visual of it looks good, but there's no story. There's no nothing there. It's just formulaic crap. And I guess if that sustains you, that's great. But I would rather have, you know, a small film that only small people have really seen and has moved them in some way than some really crap that, you know, everybody says is crap universally, but, you know, you get money as kind of like a William Hung type side project or like vanity laughter project, which, you know, sorry, William Hung, you were good in Arrested Development when you were on the hung jury.
That was pretty great.
Okay, let me just list, since, you know, writing was kind of a short. Let me list some of their movie titles. All right.
Oh God, do you have to?
Yes.
Okay. I have to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
All right. The latest is Mercenaries, then Sharknado 2, the second one, Hercules Reborn. There's a Hercules movie coming out this year. Age of Tomorrow.
Which is probably like
Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow, yeah. Let's see what it's about.
Blood Lake, Attack of the Killer Lampreys? I don't know.
Lamprey.
Sleeping Beauty, Asteroid versus Earth, The Coed and the Zombie Stoner, Asian Schoolgirls, Bermuda Tentacles, Airplane versus Volcano, Ready to Die, Alpha House, Apocalypse Pompeii, Android Cop, which came out right around probably the same time as RoboCop, and it Mega Shark versus Mecha Shark.
That's another one I hear talked about. It's funny that some people are talking about some of these bad movies.
I know.
Yeah, well, and you talk about a sustainable business model. It seems to me like sci-fi is sustaining themselves, at least to a certain degree, on just that kind of stuff. I mean, how often have you ever watched anything on sci-fi that was actually really good?
I like the reality shows.
There might be a few things.
I like
like the Face Off reality show thing. That's on Sci-Fi, right? Isn't it? Where they do the
I like Face Off. Jim Henson's Creature Shop.
Oh yeah, sure.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like those shows. But they've had some good TV on there. But the problem is they cancel them once you start getting into them, and go more for the reality, or give more money to these guys to show their films on TV.
Right.
But
so is Tom back from the bathroom yet?
Nope.
Nope. Well, he's not. Oh, he's still got the microphone with him.
The Asylum it's like leeches of the film industry. What? Are you okay?
You sound like Fat Bastard there for a second.
I'm good. Sorry, too many bananas. Sorry, go ahead.
Did you take the microphone in the... Oh, Tom.
No, I did not.
They're like the leeches of the film industry. Like, this big blockbuster is going to come out, so let's name something. Let's see, Jack the Giant Killer, or Hansel and Gretel, or we'll name something similar to those movies.
Yeah,
and
but it looks like they're actually associated with, but they're different.
Yeah, they're different.
It'd be funny if they were like, making fun of the movies, or had some kind of a web series or something where they do a takeoff that's not necessarily a full-length film. Obviously, there's no money in that, but yeah, as is, I don't know. To me, it's a weird way to work.
Yeah.
We all know how much it takes to get involved in a production. And if you're in a production that is going to be mocked and panned, how is that on the set? Do you just go with it and, do it for the potential money? Because obviously somebody's got to be funding these films.
Or just experience, or that might be. It might be to just be able to make a living. Let's face it. If you're an aspiring filmmaker in L.A., it's got to be difficult for you. So maybe you do these films just to be able to live, pay your rent, eat, and you can put money aside. I don't know. I don't get it. But
do we know what the budget for Nazis at the Center of the Earth was?
$200,000.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So it was significantly less.
$1,000.
I know, if you know the answer, don't answer this. How many days do you think it took to shoot?
7.
I don't know the answer. 4 days.
Sam?
$1.
I'd maybe probably spread out. I bet they shot it on weekends and stuff, but about 14 days.
Sam wins. 12 days. 12
days.
12 days.
Oh,
God. And it's all up there on the screen for you to see.
Yes, it is.
It's up there.
Yes,
1941 took 241 days to shoot, so
yeah,
it takes all types.
Sure, but they barely could pay these people for 10 days, let alone 200 days. I'm sure it was a bunch of contributions from somebody had to know Jake Busey, but that doesn't give it any credibility. I'm sorry, this is
when I saw
Starship
Jake Busey
Trooper
pop up, I'm like, oh no.
It's funny. Like the one thing that he had to inherit from his dad,
Were the teeth?
it was the teeth. It had to be the teeth. It was like, oh man, that's how you know they're related.
All right.
They have the same teeth.
Let's just go ahead and put this one to bed. Tom,
Yeah.
writing.
The Nazi one. The one where they come from. The one where they come from the
Down
center of the
below
earth.
instead
Center
of
of
up
Nazi
above.
center of the earth. Yep.
All right. Gabe,
I got to go with Iron Sky.
Sam.
I'm sticking with the single bullet theory and Paul Bales for Nazis at the center of the earth.
Interesting.
The 4 files that the doctor points to in his laboratory quite clearly read in Nazis at the Center of the Earth. Essen Babies, Dreichen,
Yeah.
Ich lebe es Drogen Zutum. I'm totally. And Gross Essel Jungdam.
Essen, what? What's the
Essen.
first one?
Essen Babies,
That means eat. Essen means
which
eat.
translated mean eat babies,
Yeah.
13, I love doing drugs, and big ass young lady.
What?
Although the German
Grossa.
says,
What was the
don't-
last one? Grossa what?
Gross Essel Jungen Dame. So
yeah,
big ass young
Dama,
lady.
probably.
Yeah, Dama.
Yeah.
I clearly do not speak German.
That's
Although
funny.
the German,
I happened to see that Essen Babies, and I was like, I think that said eat babies.
although the German says donkey instead of ass for the last, and the others are misspelled as well.
Oh, yeah, and babies in German is not. It'd be like Kindern or something. It's not babies.
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 You guys, it's a movie about Nazis that come from the center. Their attention to detail is not great. I do have a gripe though when we get to directing.
Okay.
I can't believe this discussion on writing has lasted this long.
Well, I kind of took it up with discussing about the asylum. So
yeah,
let's
it's kind of a hodgepodge tonight.
right.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
All right, let's move
Grand
on.
Canyon's pretty big and it's empty too.
Let's move on to acting.
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 Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that any of these movies had any worthwhile acting to talk about. Yeah, I can't. It's fun to see recognizable actors in these movies a little bit, but none of them are really necessarily all that good. Udo Kier, he's a recognizable face, and he's been in a number of different movies, some of them pretty good. Not necessarily because of him, but it's kind of interesting to see recognizable people. But I don't know.
You didn't think that Iron Sky was like 10 times above Nazis at the center of the earth?
Well, yeah, but it was. I mean, relatively speaking, Iron Sky was significantly better.
Sure. Well, and I thought it was believable. I mean, for all the craziness that's going on, and Udo is Udo. He's never going to be good, but it's always good to see him.
It is, yes.
But I don't know. I had a real problem with Christopher Kirby, the guy that played the black astronaut or whatever. And this may be a writing thing, but he was so ghetto and so. I didn't want to see him. I wanted him out of the scene. He was
Well, and I don't know what category this falls into, but I was like, well, in Iron Sky, it's like, who was the main character? Who was the hero? Was he supposed to be the hero? Because what did he do? He didn't do anything.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't.
He's just he gets captured, and then he gets albinized. He gets transformed
like,
into
let's
a white
break
guy.
out the Living Large makeup again, and we haven't seen it for a while. So
Yeah, it made me think. You know what that made me think of? It made me think of White Girls. That bad movie with the Wayans or whatever.
Yeah, the makeup wasn't even that good.
No,
like
what? No.
Like I was looking at him and I didn't even know what was going on. It's like, oh, he spilled some baby powder on his face, but
yeah, but I'm like, who was the main character in Iron Sky? There wasn't one really. Was it the girl? Was it Renata?
Probably. Yeah.
Was it Klaus?
Did anyone think that the president was a takeoff on like Sarah Palin?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, no question.
All right.
Yeah, there's no question about that at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought German Josh Brolin was pretty good in Iron Sky.
Yes, he was totally
is that
Josh
Klaus?
Brolin.
Yeah, a lot
Holy
better
crap, Gabe.
than German
Or-
Daniel Craig in Nazis from the Center of the Earth. So
I mean, holy,
German Daniel
holy crap,
Craig. Which
Tom.
one was that?
That's awesome. I didn't even think about that. Gotz
Yeah.
Otto. Holy crap, he does look like him.
and in the beginning, I actually was like, holy shit, they got Daniel Craig in this. This must have happened a long time ago. I was like, wait, that's not Daniel Craig.
Which guy are you talking about?
The doctor, crazy doctor, cut your brain off.
Mangala?
Mangala, yeah. He looked like
What?
he looked like
a significantly older Daniel Craig.
an older, scarred Daniel Craig. So, but last time I saw Daniel Craig was at the end of Skyfall, and he's kind of banged up. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. No.
Still has some rockin' abs though.
I was completely just shocked. And maybe this is kind of go back to writing, but that Jake Busey played the crazy Nazi scientist. I did not see that coming. The guy named Reistad, and the fact that he infected a bunch of his compatriots. Yeah, I was wow. That was a genius move. I did not see that coming.
Crazy, but he just didn't fit the role. Like, to me, he was too young and too dumb looking to be a smart scientist. Maybe I'm shallow. Maybe I'm shallow when it comes to my evil scientist, but you know.
I think that can be applied to everyone on that base, though.
Too young and too dumb.
You're not a scientist. You're too young and dumb. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know. You know, I guess in this category we could talk about casting choices as well. You know, like not necessarily the acting, but like the choices that they made for the cast. And you know, I think when you've got like campy movies like this, if you don't have the opportunity to cast big names, marketable names, well, then what you have to do is you have to cast young, eager, hot people, right? You have to have like good-looking women. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they can act or not, you know, as long as they look good. And you know, I think Iron Sky succeeded in that a little bit better.
Sure.
Yeah, but you know, I'm not really sure about Nazis as the Center of the Earth.
Well, as a director, if they don't act well, just don't have them deliver any dialogue. Just let them be good looking and hanging around, or maybe possibly a mute. Like,
right,
why aren't you talking? And then they can't talk.
Heroes. Yeah,
you know, and then get naked to show their affection or something. I mean, that's what.
Right. I guess we did get a little bit of that at Nazis at the Center of the Earth. A little. It's like, okay, well, we don't know where to go with. Let's have a little you know, nudity in it. And
you know,
were they like? Go ahead.
Well, I was just something that's always bugged me about, you know, these really kind of smaller, off the radar independent films, and I mean, and no offense too, but in some of the ways, some of the 48's like that too. But it's just this lack of attention to acting, that you can just throw somebody in front of the camera and they can act, and it's ridiculous that people are just looking for warm bodies. And I know it's hard to get people to cast, but acting is a skill, and it is difficult. And I'm just always amazed that, you know, people, they put so much time into their movies and then they just cast aside acting like, it's not that big a deal. Right. And it brings the whole the work of the director and everybody that worked on that production down when they don't just find somebody that has that skill. And I know it's not easy, but you know, there are, you know, theaters and there's good actors out there looking for work. So
right. Well, and don't settle. Like, if you can find your way around it without having to have a bunch of dialogue delivered by someone that can't deliver it, then use that avenue. You know, don't just think you can plug anybody in there.
Know your strengths.
You know,
exactly. Yeah,
and
acting.
If someone can't act per se, they can stand in a menacing way. Or I believe a director with any talent can find their way out of a scene around someone that's a weaker performer.
Right.
I know all of you guys have done that. You know, not necessarily had the best talent available, but you've used it to the fullest of its ability without, you know, making them look uncomfortable or bad, because you as a director don't want to make somebody look bad and have them be embarrassed.
Yeah, and as good as, I mean, and you can't really edit around bad acting either. You know, it goes to, you know, what you want from the actor. If they can't deliver it, then you got to find another actor. So I don't know, I've always thought it's interesting that people put so much emphasis on directing, but then they just let the acting just happen, and it's not. It's a skill too, and it's, you know, it takes nurturing and everything else. So, all right. Oh, my soapbox is all done. I'm off.
All right. Well, you guys have anything else to add to the acting category?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Although I did love, I can't, forgot her name. Peta Sargent as the Vivian Wagner as the
you liked her? Was she the one who took over the American? Yeah. You liked her? I thought she was.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not so good.
Sorry. I clicked on the wrong one. Stephanie Paul. I really liked her
as the president.
Yeah,
Palin?
as the president, as the Palin ripoff.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was just so.
Smart.
Just go campy with it.
Yes, exactly. And I thought
I
that was
actually
great.
like Julia Dietz, like the kind of English teacher or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Earth, historian. There was something about her performance that seemed genuine in the midst of all this ridiculousness.
Right.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
And I thought the thing they did with Vivian at the beginning where they ripped off Downfall, the Hitler bunker scene.
Yes.
That was a cute touch. And and it's funny because it wasn't delivered particularly well, but it did kind of help me get into a better mindset watching the movie and realize that they weren't taking themselves too seriously either. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I mean it's a satire, without going the airplane blazing saddle route,
It is. And good satire always kind of tries to deliver a couple messages, and they did, the over militarization of the United States and that kind of thing. I thought all of that stuff that kind of snuck in there, little jabs, at different countries was cute too.
Yeah, like how we'll fight over some energy providing fuel and kill each other over it. Once we've defeated a larger enemy. Yeah, it's just so. Anyway, before we get too political, Gabe, what's your vote?
Well, I thought Iron Sky was significantly better in the acting category than Nazis at the Center of the Earth.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Iron Sky.
Okay, and Tom.
Yeah, I'll take Iron Sky on that one too.
All right. I was trying to find something on the acting, but there's not.
Are you voting at all tonight, Mike?
No, I am not.
Since we don't have a guest tonight.
No.
You couldn't find anybody who wanted to watch these movies.
No, it's called Mike being too busy and forgot to send out the emails. It's
okay.
been kind of crazy since we last recorded. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. So let's move on to our third round, which is directing.
Oh wow. To me, I think the director of Iron Sky probably has to take the cake here. I mean, Nazis at the Center of the Earth, I think he did a good job with very limited resources, including I don't know, not the best script, even though I voted for it in the long run, I guess. There were portions of Iron Sky that had a polish that was very noticeable. And even though it was absurd and you had all this other stuff going on, there was a lot of attention to detail there that, even though, again, it was absurd, it came off as kind of a polished product. Everything from the uniforms to the special effects. I really think that the director of Iron Sky delivered a sweeping vision, even though it was kind of a ridiculous sweeping vision of something I wish I'd never wasted my time watching. But, Nazis, it was just ridiculous. From the first couple minutes, I had been dropped out of the reality of the film and was kind of just, at that point, like a buzzard picking it apart for every little crappy thing I saw that came across. Iron Sky was a little bit different. I mean, I think he really managed to visualize an alternate universe that had some striking characteristics. Were some of the characters ridiculous? Yes. In a lot of ways, I'm going to blame that more on the writing of the actual picture than the delivery and the performance of the director. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. But for me, Iron Sky, I think there was much more there, substantially.
Yeah, I agree. And from a cinematography standpoint, from a look standpoint, it was much, much more polished. actually surprisingly polished to me. And at times I thought, well, hey, the visual effects aren't that bad. There were times when they weren't so great, but other times I'm like, that was done pretty well. And the shot choices, the angles and the camera movement and those kinds of things were pretty solid overall. It's just that I felt like the story didn't flow very well, like we talked about in the writing, and at times the acting kind of was not really all that superb. And I think he could have he probably could have gotten more out of his actors if he had tried. And I think he was probably spending more time on the visual effects, thinking about the visual effects than about the acting or about the story and that kind of thing. And it shows. And yeah, Nazis at the Center of the Earth, I don't know. It was just terrible all the way around. I just think, I don't know. The interesting thing is the director is listed as a visual effects supervisor for a large number of movies. And I thought the visual effects in Nazis at the Center of the Earth were terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and one of the worst ones to me, the one, let's not even, we won't even get into, Robot Hitler yet. But, like one of the worst visual effects to me was when they were rappelling down into the caverns. I'm like, really? They can't get somebody. It looked like they were just hopping backwards
Sideways
on
camera.
level ground. With some really terrible plate behind them of some kind of cavern or tunnel. And I'm like, really? They can't get these guys to like rappel actually on a vertical surface, for just a few feet. So it really looks like they're hanging. That was so bad. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I really, they can't make that look more realistic. At times, Robot Hitler was better than that. I was like, well, at least he's somewhat plausible or something. More believable than them. I didn't believe that they actually rappelled down to the center of the earth, but I don't know. Yeah, Nazis at the Center of the Earth, directing, I don't even know if there was any, It's like, okay, well, they pointed the camera and they got all the lines and they did some visual effects and they were done.
I'm going to go a different way on this, is that, there were obviously limitations in Nazis at the Center of the Earth that are very obvious on the screen in terms of, the technology and the equipment and all that.
The budget.
The budget, the acting ability. I mean, there's all that. But it seemed to me that Iron Sky had some very talented people working on it, in the editing and in the special effects. Mm-hmm. And I have to wonder, why were these people signed on to this movie? I mean, there was some pretty impressive. There's some really impressive work in Iron Sky, and the whole time I'm watching it, and they show a couple of pretty decent shots, I just was sitting there holding my forehead going, why are these people working on this movie? I mean, is it fun? Are they, is this like, fun thing to do for them? But it seems like they could have had a really great movie. Why didn't they get a really great script? And I know they're out there and do something with that. Why are they putting together a story about Nazis from the moon? I don't know. Life is pretty finite, and I don't understand why people would spend half a year working on a movie like this when they could, I don't know, contribute. I can't think of a better word.
I would have. I totally would have worked on this. I'm sorry. It just captured my imagination. Not that I'm a Nazi sympathizer, but I don't know. It just seems like a fun little film to work on for me.
I like some of the concepts. Like, I like the idea of something happening on the moon that we don't know about. That, the setting and all that, I've always been a fan of that. Like, for me, it's always been like moon oil. Like, there's oil on the moon, and I very much like the H3 or whatever. Like, I don't know. I kind of like it. The whole Nazi thing brings in so many other things. Like, if it's aliens or something on the moon, that's a different story. But to me, even talking about Nazis as a joke or whatever is just like, you know what? I hate the Nazis. I don't like anything about them. And thank God I grew up in a time where I didn't know them personally, because they suck. and fuck them, fuck the Nazis, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, what could be a better bad guy than a Nazi? Like, it already comes. You don't really have to set the story up. Like, everyone knows what a Nazi is, so you don't have to be like, oh, I wonder what this guy is. I wonder what his story is. You see the symbol on their arm. You see the swastika, and you're like, Nazi, bad guy, boom, done. Like, it just kind of writes itself. I mean, Indiana Jones, that's probably, Nazis, once again. It's just, they kind of write themselves.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music, there you go.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like,
Well, and they certainly didn't glorify the Nazis in any way.
No, not at all.
They made them look stupid,
Mm-hmm.
and
I agree. Like, they're the perfect villain because your audience already knows them. Anyone that's old enough to have been through a history class,
Sure.
you already know they are the worst of the worst.
Sure, but why have a human incarnation of evil when you could have pure evil? Like, why fight the Nazis who are kind of bumbles when you could fight the devil or something like that? Like, that's a darker force.
Well, that's true. That's
What?
true.
And nobody's happier with the fact that the Nazis have been reduced to a caricature of evil in two ridiculous movies such as these. But it's also kind of a little bit, and I'll hold Spielberg accountable too. It's kind of a lazy man's villain too. I mean, yeah, the Nazis are bad, so let's just get on with the story. But I don't know. I kind of more interested in where the evil comes from and what motivates these characters, not just blonde hair, blue eyes. I would rather have a deeper study into it because I am a total buzzkill.
No, I can agree with that as well. I mean, but if you're going for a bad guy, if you don't have
need a lot of backstory here,
right? You don't need a lot, not at all.
Well, then these two stories failed miserably because there was way too much backstory. Hang on a second. We're going to do a 5-minute monologue about how we're coming back to take over the Earth. Really? Nazis? That's so unlike you.
Yeah. What?
After all this time, you haven't had a change of heart.
What? Really? You're going to take over the Earth again? Try to? Oh.
Tried and true.
But for me, I've got to agree with you guys. Directing was much better for Iron Sky comparatively to Nazis at the Center of the Earth. And Gabe, you mentioned the fact that Joseph Larson did a lot of visual effects on other films. A majority of those films are Asylum films.
So it's not, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not known for the like high quality effects.
No, I mean, it has listed here Titanic 2,
right.
which is
the Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, Lake Placid 2. And then there's two big ones. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
I don't know, maybe his specialty is campy visual effects. I mean, maybe he is so good he's transcended.
But I will say...
Well, it looks like he worked at Red Tail, so he must be doing some stuff with Skywalker Ranch.
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. You just stole my thunder. But I saw Red Tails because, once again, history nut. And I loved the visual effects in that movie. Like, that sold it for me. The story, the directing was awful. Awful. And some of the acting even was awful. And but what saved it for me were the visual effects. And so I'll see what he did on Red Tails, but pre-vis artist. So he was just a pre-visualization artist. Not just. I mean, it probably paid well. But visual effects supervisor for Abraham Lincoln versus Zombies. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once again, it comes around to the point, even I have to feed my kids and pay for rent, or I have a mortgage. But yeah,
true. I guess we're not questioning why they're working on these movies, but it's like, why aren't they getting any better over time? You would think like if they spent this much time on these things, if they did this all the time, that they would improve over time.
I would like to know how much he made being the director for the film.
Well, it was pretty low budget, and they had to split it amongst quite a number of people, I imagine.
I mean, a $200,000 budget. Right. So it's like...
Sure. He probably gets like $5 residual checks from Netflix screenings and shit.
Yeah.
He's like really bored. It's like, yeah, I can go buy a 40. Yeah.
Yeah. And forget that I made that movie. But yeah, you just have to ask yourself, how much did he really make? Like, is your heart really into it at that point? If
right, yeah. How hard do you try for
right,
whatever?
But I guess I've been on films that I get paid nothing for, and my heart's totally into it because I love what I'm doing. So there you go. It's we can't question their integrity. We can just maybe question why they do it, which is probably to just put food on the table. It could be. So
yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to add to directing?
No.
Don't think so.
Tom sounds like he's just been beaten down.
No, that's fine. I'm cheering myself. I'm just looking at porn.
You better look at it quick. The internet stops showing
Nazi
porn.
porn?
It is Nazi porn.
Yeah,
it is.
That's the only place.
Videos?
Yeah.
Okie dokie then.
German Schweitzer films. All right, Sam.
Iron Sky.
Tom.
Yeah, I'll have to go Iron Sky on that one too.
All right, Gabe.
Yeah, I think Iron Sky was competently directed and relatively well done. So yeah, Iron Sky.
All right, just real quick, since we're talking about directors, since we're discussing The Asylum, there's another director out there that I have a pure hatred for everything that he does, and Uwe Ball.
Yep.
Yeah. The Asylum is right on track with Uwe Ball as far as their films are concerned. But yeah, we're gonna need to do a Uwe Ball film at some point.
No.
And I'm gonna have to be a guest just so I can rant about it.
I will host that.
I don't know if
I'll host it. I'll host it. I said that first.
I think it was beginning of last year, maybe before that. Like the first film I saw that year was a Uwe Ball film, and I recommended it, and you were like, "I hate Uwe Ball."
Yeah.
And it had the kid that was like
Postal.
Freddy versus Jason, or
yeah,
something.
it was Postal, and I actually watched it because you suggested it. I liked certain parts of that film, which is hard for me to say because I
came into it not knowing anything. I was just like, "This is interesting. This is." I think the acting itself brought me to it because I really enjoy that guy's performance.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. There were certain aspects of that film that made me like it, and like those certain parts. Never gonna like Uwe Ball, but I'm glad you suggested it because I actually sat down and watched it. So there you go. Let's move on to overall.
Not me, not now. Well, I think what we have here is two films that were shooting for the stars and wound up crashing to Earth. I was amazed at actually the two Nazi spaceships crashing into the moon and crashing to Earth were both very similar. I
agree. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It was very, very similar.
Yeah. I gotta give credit to the. I keep going back to Robot Hitler. It is so absurd and so ridiculous that God help me, I might actually watch Nazis at the Center of the Earth again, just because I'm going to have friends over. I'm going to go sit down. You have to see this. And just set a six-pack out and just, let people get drunk and watch Nazis at the Center of the Earth. So I don't know what's left to be said about these two movies.
I don't either.
The special effects in Center of the Earth were so bad. I love the convenience of them showing up in a tropical paradise under Antarctica, so that they could just shoot outside.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, one thing that bothered me right away in Nazis at the Center of the Earth is they start drilling. They're doing an ice core.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I was
And
going to bring this up.
they hit the airplane wing or whatever it is, but like right away. And then they just brush a little bit of snow out of the way, and there it is. It's like it's not even like a foot under. It's
No.
like
We're walking on
inches.
They were literally
How
walking
did you not
on
hit
it.
that immediately when you were trying to put that thing in?
Or when you were walking around, how could you not tell
Yeah, how
that
did
there
you
was
not trip
metal
on
under your
that?
feet?
I was like, really? That's just insulting.
Gabe, you bring up a good point about it. When Mengele was leaving on the plane, and they kept showing him, he is like a sharpshooter. He's like a
Oh, I know, he
sniper
didn't miss.
with a pistol.
I know. He didn't
Come on,
miss.
really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
And then they kept showing the same guy falling over like 4 times when he shot.
Well, they only had like 3 soldiers, American soldiers.
Like it was-
Okay, we got to somehow make it look like an invasion.
Well, my thing was they didn't even try to reverse it. So the gun was in the other hand. It was just like, and then he shoots again, and then he shoots again, and then it's halfway through the when the soldier falls. I'm like, that's the same guy. So sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No,
Sorry, Tom.
No, that's right. I think we're ready to vote.
That's the best thing I heard all night.
More than just real quick for Iron Sky, more than 10% of the funding for this film came from fans. Donors, of course, are listed in the end credits. The German
Did you say donors or stoners?
donors.
Okay.
The
Donors, maybe.
excuse me. The German customs office would not allow the filmmakers to bring any Nazi costumes and regalia into Germany. But fortunately, the makers of Inglourious Bastards helped director Voroslo by revealing how they had circumvented the same problem. So apparently there's no Nazi swastikas, anything allowed back into Germany.
Yeah, they're probably not
Yes.
too proud of that.
Yeah, well,
It's banned. You can't have anything there. Which one was it? Yeah, it was Inglourious Bastards, the movie poster. They had to re-edit the movie poster and
That's
take
right.
the swastika off of it. Hey, speaking of swastika, I learned about the swastika from these movies. Did you know that?
You did? What'd you
The swastika, which is
tie-in?
the swastika which you're used to seeing, when it's inverted backwards,
Yes.
it's good luck and peace
Yes.
in Hindu.
Yep.
Did you notice that the Nazis at the center of the earth
Yes.
screwed up when
Yes.
Robot Hitler came up, and it wasn't the Nazi symbol; it was the peace symbol.
Yep.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
had reversed the image.
That was intentional. They were making a statement.
No, they had reversed the
They probably
image.
reversed the footage. Yeah, they probably just.
It's covered in swastikas, so I'm going to call it hostile. Oh wait, hang on a second. Those are backwards. Those are backwards. We're good. We're good.
I think the best description I've ever heard of a swastika is it's a plus sign doing a cartwheel. And I'm like,
Oh, nice.
oh, okay, but yeah,
It's a very pleasing way.
Hitler chose it because of that reason, because it meant peace, harmony,
Yeah.
and that. God, what a jerk. Even Robot Hitler sucked.
What
Yeah.
a dick.
I had
Up this wrong sign. You put up this wrong sign.
I had a few others, like the detail for a lot of the Iron Sky, like the airplanes when they were going in the fight. They actually had, like, you would see payloads that weren't on, and that's because, like, for the F-22 is shown with an open weapon slots. When attacking the UFOs, as the stealth abilities of the aircraft are greatly impaired by external weapons such as missiles and bombs. Like, they kind of went in and added little details that the normal person would not care about.
In what movie?
Iron Sky, not Nazis from the center of the earth.
Why did the cargo ship have missiles?
I don't know.
Wasn't there like a cargo research plane from New Zealand carrying like air-to-air missiles?
Yes.
What was that?
I don't know. I don't.
I was like, oh my gosh, how are they going to fight this giant ship? We have missiles. Oh.
The radio traffic heard in the scene where the spaceships from the UN countries joined the fight was entirely crowdsourced. the dialogue was recorded by fans of the film at home and sent to the director. And I thought I had read somewhere that a lot of the visual effects were crowdsourced, like people would do certain aspects and then send it in to them. But I can't find anywhere. I can't find that article that actually mentioned that anywhere. I was going to talk about it tonight, but
yeah, I might actually have it here.
Yeah.
Keep going. I'll take a quick look.
Okay. Now I got to find something to stall.
Yeah, I'm wondering about this whole crowdsourcing thing. They got a certain amount of budget, from donations from fans. How do you have fans before you make it? How did they get these fans? Fans of what?
Well, maybe they had. Maybe they
how did they
had
generate buzz for it before it was?
Enthusiasm can go a long way.
Yeah.
Like if people, some people have a lot of friends that may not necessarily, study cinema or whatnot, but respect the fact that their friends are so engaged in a project and will support them. And then, it's not surprising to me that they got money, especially if they're in a place, say California or something, where everybody wants to make movies. And if you can give them a little bit of money, then we'll put you in the movies. I mean, that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, and I mean they could have had a lot of on their site. They could have had teaser. They could have had this, that, and the other to help get more funding or get help making the film.
Yeah. Okay. So I found a little blurb here. It's very brief, but it says we shot the film. This is Iron Sky. We shot the film in January 2011 and started the post-production right away. All the visual effects were completed in a year. We had 15 artists working, so we needed to pull off miracles every day. But more important, what makes Iron Sky special is the active collaboration between us and the online community.
There you go.
The Iron Sky team was and still is in direct contact with over 200,000 fans on a weekly basis. This is the first fan-made movie of such a scale. At least so they say.
Sure, and I think it's Finland. I think they come from Finland. My origins, the Finnish.
Are you Finnish?
Yeah, my
Yeah, are you done?
born in
Oh,
Finland,
no, nothing.
and then came over to the United States.
I did
But
not
yeah,
know that.
Finnish. That's where Twami comes from.
Nice.
I can see that in some ways. Like, Iron Sky, especially if you haven't seen the whole thing released, like it's exciting. Like some of the visuals, I could see how people could be oohed and awed by seeing just the thing of the swastika base or how smooth and tight those visuals were, because they can compete with a Hollywood blockbuster as far as, think back when we did Moon, stuff like that.
Yeah.
These visuals could exceed that.
Yeah.
But other areas fall short.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. And anyone that cares, IMDb score for Iron Sky is 6.0. Nazis at Center of the Earth is 3.1.
Appropriate.
So, yes, appropriately. But, all right, gentlemen, overall, Tom.
Robot Hitler.
All right. Gabe.
Iron Sky.
And Sam.
Beverly Hillbillies. No, Iron Sky.
All right.
You must vote. Vote.
Vote.
You will vote.
Democracy does not work.
Oh, shit. All right. Let's go ahead and go on to our recommendations, and we'll start with Gabe.
Well, I like to try to keep them kind of in the same vein. Although I don't know too many movies that I've seen that are this bad. But I would like to recommend something that's along the same kind of campy nature, intentionally campy, and that would be the Grindhouse films, especially the Robert Rodriguez half of that, Planet Terror, because I find it a very fun and well made, well produced kind of campy horror type film. And interestingly enough, there's also a fake trailer for these Grindhouse movies that does have to do with Nazis, and it was It was called, let's see,
Werewolf Nazis of the SS.
Werewolf Women
And yes,
of the SS. Yes, and so I thought that was appropriate. So I'd recommend at least Planet Terror. I wasn't a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino's contribution to it. What's it called? Uh, why can't I remember it? The
crap.
Death Proof.
Yes.
Death Proof.
There you go.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that one. I love Quentin Tarantino, but that one really didn't do much for me. But Planet Terror was pretty fun.
And do you know who directed that fake trailer, Gabe? Do you remember?
Was that one Rob Zombie?
Yes, that was Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
My favorite one.
He's coming to town. I think he's gonna be playing here in Des Moines in the near future.
Nice. My favorite out of all those was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the Eli Roth one.
Yes, the Eli Roth one, and Don't was pretty good too.
I don't remember that one. I was looking at some of the information about those two movies and the fake trailers, and I don't.
Yeah.
What was that? I don't remember that one. What was that?
They just kept showing these images like "Don't," like someone getting ready to open a door and it says "Don't," and it just kept doing that, over and over. It was
well. It's interesting, that Machete,
came out of that.
It actually became more than one movie.
Yep.
And then
and they're awesome. They're great. They're doing the third one.
Yep.
Are they really?
Yeah, they're awesome. I mean, you can hit it more on the head. Like Robert Rodriguez is a king at like making perfect camp and also have it being cinematically awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's well done. It's like really well done campy stuff. Like you realize, see some of these, like Iron Sky and especially Nazis at the Center of the Earth. You're like, are they trying to be campy, or is it accidental? I mean, how much credit do I give them for this? Whereas with Robert Rodriguez, he's intentionally. I mean, it's entirely intentional.
Yeah.
And it's very well controlled and very well, produced and yeah, good stuff. Even early on with like the El Mariachi and Desperado movies and that kind of stuff. Even those kind of somewhat fall into that category. They're a little bit sexy campy, but violent campy.
Right.
But, yeah.
All right, Sam.
Well, I am so much more excited about my pick than either of these movies that we talked about tonight. I seriously could have gone on about this film for hours. It's called Escape from Tomorrow, and you may have heard about it. It made news in 2013 because some of the scenes were actually shot at Disney World, and it touched off a firestorm of what is available locations with companies like Disney that have policies of letting people shoot film there. Where are those boundaries? And that's the first we kind of heard about it. And then the other night we came across it on Netflix, didn't know that it had just become film on Netflix and streaming. And I was blown away by it. To me, it shows that independent film is not dead at all. It's alive and kicking. And it also shows the power of a small cast and a small crew capturing a film and then really taking the time in post to bring it home with attention to coloring, select focus. It's done on a consumer-grade camera on a DSLR, and it looks beautiful. I mean, the black and white in it is just fantastic. You see a lot of tricks that you may see in film school edits as far as, animation on film stock for a certain look. You get some green screen in there. A lot of it's really quite good. Like, I could tell it. My husband couldn't tell that some of it was green screen. But you get this kind of escapist tale that you're watching, and you have this familiar surroundings of Disney World, but as it goes on, you kind of lose that sense of reality. And to me, it's fascinating. I encourage anyone that's into filmmaking to watch this film, if anything, to see how sometimes simple techniques can bring a lot to your next project. It doesn't have to be huge budgets all the time. Sometimes the most intriguing films are the simplest techniques with a decent story that's just visually stunning and brings it back to the visuals of filmmaking, which in a lot of ways can take us all away to a different time, a different place. Check out Escape from Tomorrow. It's now streaming on Netflix. You won't regret it.
Yeah, it says here it was shot on 2 Canon 5D Mark IIs and 1 Canon 1D Mark IV. So that's pretty awesome. Tom.
Schindler's List. That's my recommendation.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I need to cleanse my Nazi film palette. So
Oh, Jesus.
these movies were so bad. I'm forced to go back and watch Schindler's List.
I shouldn't be laughing.
and
Schindler's
third
List is
time.
a great movie, but
Schindler's List Schindler's List is an amazing movie, and
It
I
is.
just finished
It
Steven Spielberg's biography, and go watch Schindler's List again, because you know what, life is too short for Nazis coming from weird places. So go see one about a good Nazi, because Oskar Schindler was a good Nazi. He was a good. Nope, no one's seen it. All right.
yeah, I've seen it. What? I mean, but would you still call him a Nazi? I mean, he may have self-identified as a Nazi.
Yeah, but he
or
was
with
more
the Nazi
of
party,
a German, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at some point, I would think that he wouldn't even want to be called a Nazi.
Fun fact, I've only seen that film once. I can't watch it again.
I can't watch it again either, but I just bought it, so I'm going to watch it again, because I just the Spielberg biography had brought some really interesting things to light about that movie, and I was like, darn it, now I got to watch it again, because I missed all that. Because the first time you watch it, it's very assaulting on your emotions.
Yes, it is.
And I did not get to watch it for the movie that it is, for the choices that Spielberg made in terms of making the movie. And the interesting side note, real quick, before we move on, he got a lot of flack for Color Purple being too beautiful and being, about, abuse. And so Schindler's List was intentionally done without cranes or jibs or color, so that he could not be accused of making the Holocaust beautiful. So he took away all of his crutches so that he could tell the story in the most honest way. So now I have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Yeah, neither did I.
And so I feel like as a filmmaker, I could probably learn some things in simplified filmmaking and being able to tell a story with the camera and placement of actors than I could with, some of the tricks that we like to use. So, yeah, I'm going to go back, watch it again. We had 2 black and white movies on our recommendations.
Yeah.
Mike, your turn.
All right. Well, mine is a little mini-series that just came out last week, and it's showed on the History Channel. It's called The World Wars. Now, I've mentioned a couple times I'm a huge history freak. It's also done by the production company that did The Men Who Built America. It tells the story of both world wars through the eyes of various main players: Roosevelt, Hitler, Patton, Mussolini, Churchill, Tojo, de Gaulle, and MacArthur. And you kind of see them as younger men fighting or doing their part during World War I. And then what actually changed them and made them become the leaders of either the evil forces or the good forces for World War II. It opens up with a great quote from Winston Churchill about how Europe was not fighting didn't fight 2 separate wars. It was fighting one 30-year long war. And it really, that kind of opened you up. Once you read that, and then you watch the film or watch the series, it kind of brings that all to light, that it never really did stop. And there's not really any big name actors in it, but Jeremy Renner does narrate the series.
I hate Jeremy Renner.com.
Love Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, I'm not a
love
huge
Jeremy
fan
Renner.
either. But,
I like Jeremy Renner.
but you can't really tell it's him.
Right.
I've seen part of it.
Did you watch it?
You can't really tell that it's him narrating.
The production value is fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
It brings to light a lot of things that even I did not know or I did not remember from reading them or watching other documentaries. So I would suggest The World Wars if you're a history buff. All right, let's move on to finding out who won.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Your winner by decision is Iron Sky!
Really, though, no one won. We're all losers, guys. We're all losers.
Speak for yourself, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Let's tell the people of the interwebs where they can find us, stalk us, or watch any films that you've done, and maybe send you guys love notes. I have no idea. Let's start with Sam.
This time of year, I'm getting ready for the 48-hour film project to return to Des Moines, so you can definitely find my contact information at 48hourfilm.com/Des Moines, as well as info about this fantastic event that's going to be happening in Des Moines at the end of July.
Now, Sam, I've been meaning to ask you.
Sure.
You've made some films in the past. Do you
Sure.
have any of those online?
Yes and no. Some of the stuff that we've all worked on together, like Melody, I think is streaming online somewhere. I think My Mom's Trying to Kill Me is not online currently, but I think will be within the next few months.
Mm-hmm.
Some of my earlier work when I just got out of college and stuff is not streaming currently anywhere.
Oh man, you should
That
put
may
those
change.
up.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it. I've had a lot of talks about, Film Past and Film Future, aside from the 48, which is kind of interesting in the last couple months with some podcasts and stuff I've been working on. So,
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Tom.
CheshireMoonFilms.com. All roads lead through there. You can get to my Vimeo pages and my Facebook pages, I think. And Wedding Day Rewind's got their wedding films up there. So right in the middle of big wedding season. So,
Yeah, you had 3 last weekend, right?
3 last weekend, 2 the weekend before. I'm off this weekend, though. I'm going to Honey Creek
Nice.
and sit in a boat.
Gabe.
You can find me on Facebook, or you can check out onegenomeshort.com for our 48-hour film team, and you'll eventually, before the end of the month, hopefully, be able to see our films up there. I'm working on it.
Working on it?
Yeah, I never have time, but I'm trying. I'm trying.
I know the
I'm
feeling.
trying. My teammates are on my butt to get things out there, so I'm working
sure.
on it.
Well, and if any of our listeners are in Iowa, they can see Gabe's film Stuffed from 48-Hour Film Project as part of a special night of screening at the Interrobang Film Festival at the Des Moines Arts Festival on June 27th.
Nice.
Cool.
Kind of like a return to
I'm
the
excited.
Interrobang for myself. I know Mike probably won't be there, but I have not been back there for several years. But it'll be kind of cool to see some 48-hour films there.
I was back there last year.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Did you screen?
We showed a film. Well, the studio didn't show a film, but the Iowa
filmmakers.
Yeah, the Iowa filmmakers were showing a film that I worked on with them, and so did Gabe.
Cool.
Which one was it?
The
action film?
the martial arts one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, was it an early cut? of
Yeah,
it?
it was an early cut.
Yeah, that's my girlfriend's birthday weekend, and we are often not even in town for that. So I rarely get to go, but I might be able to this year. We're going to be around this year. So
Cool. Well, we would appreciate it if you could leave us a review on iTunes or whatever podcasting service you use. You can contact us at cinesmack@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Just search Cinesmack. And for July, John Cusack will be fighting himself as One Crazy Summer takes on Better Off Dead. For Gabe, Tom, Sam, and myself, thanks for listening, and go catch a flick.
Robot Fräuleins give great head. True.
it's true.
It's true.
It's true. Yeah. Well,
that was-
they're
that was-
German engineered.
That was pretty offensive.
This has been a test of the Southsider Studios podcast system. This was only a test. If this were a true lack of entertainment, your head would explode. Go to iTunes and subscribe to our feed. Just search Southsider Studios.